Conference divisions have entered their own circle of life. We went from no divisions, to renaming divisions, to realigning divisions, to now maybe not needing divisions at all. What we do need is an annual football sorting hat.
Not Slytherin, not Slytherin.
That would actually be kind of awesome. This is Team Rivalry. The Big Ten championship game has been a catalyst for some of the most lopsided football results in recent memory. But all of that may be ancient history coming up here in 2023 because the ACC and Pac-12 have announced that they're doing away with divisions, and the Big Ten is set to follow suit. We've had 11 years with the Big Ten championship game, the first 3 being during the era of the curiously named Legends and Leaders divisions. Since the realignment to the East and West divisions, however, the East division has never lost the title game. In fact, it's usually kind of a blowout. On top of that, the discussion of playoff expansion has been around for quite some time, even if action there has been minimal. That hasn't stopped conferences from preparing for the eventuality of an 8-team or even 12-team playoff. The ACC especially has been looking to get rid of divisions, and they got their first taste of what that would be like in 2020. During that year, they removed divisions and allowed the 2 best teams in the ACC by winning percentage to participate in the championship game. They also brought along Notre Dame for the ride, which gave the ACC a huge championship game matchup when number 3 Clemson played against number 2 Notre Dame. Wow! Not only that, but despite the fact that Clemson clobbered the Irish 34-10, both teams were actually able to get into the college football playoff, where they both got spanked. So, what does this mean for 2022? Well, nothing, because it doesn't actually take effect until 2023. But what does this mean for 2023? I'm glad you asked.
I didn't ask.
For the Pac-12, it means one last shot at giving its 2 best teams a chance for a marquee win that could propel them into the college football playoff, something that has eluded them in recent years. Although, I should note at this point that USC and UCLA have actually just agreed to join the Big Ten in 2023, or is it 2024? It doesn't matter, but at this point, either way, the Pac-12 is probably going to come down to Oregon and Utah at this point, so we'll see what happens there. For the ACC, on the other hand, it also could have meant another shot at having a Notre Dame-Clemson championship game, which would have been fantastic for ratings, although now there are whispers that Notre Dame might be joining the Big Ten, although these are definitely just unsubstantiated rumors. It would make sense at this point, and if I were a betting man, I would actually probably put money on that, but I won't go there right now.
Everyone's a win. Well, not everyone.
For the Big Ten, it means a few different things. First, blowouts in the title game will most likely become more rare. Second, the actual 2 best teams in the conference will play against each other, instead of having the East Division champion just consume whatever sacrificial lamb had the misfortune of finding themselves the winner of the West Division. There are certainly pros to this model, that being your team playing teams that maybe they don't actually play that often, and championship games that are far more competitive than what they have been, but it's that second point that actually introduces a few drawbacks. Rematches are neat and all, but what happens when they occur every single year? Do you think Ohio State is going to miss a championship game ever again? Do you think the Big Ten's current West Division will ever have a shot at making it to the championship game, let alone winning it, if they have to play more games against the East Division? Further, I'm a Michigan fan, in case you couldn't tell by the book, the shrine, or the flag. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know how I would feel about a Michigan-Ohio State rematch in the title game, but you can call me a traditionalist. Further, what is the point to an expansion of the playoffs, especially to a 12-team format, when you've already got the number 1 and 2 teams of each conference playing each other for a spot into that playoff? You already had Notre Dame and Clemson play each other in their championship game, and yet both still get into the playoffs. Now multiple conferences will have a shot at doing the exact same thing. I know that's kind of a given for the SEC, but do we want to live in a world where, say, I don't know, Michigan and Ohio State play in the season finale, the Big Ten championship game, and then again in the playoffs? 3 times in 1 year? I'm not saying it's likely, I'm just saying that I don't even like the idea that it could be possible. Playoff expansion could potentially diminish the importance of the regular season, and it brings up a point made by Josh Pate on the Late Kick at 247 Sports. Eventually there will be this thing called a meaningless playoff game, where a top-seeded team beats the living daylights out of a bottom-seeded team. Of course, it's meaningless until the bottom-seeded team gets the upset. But what does that say about the regular season? I mean, just for an example, look at 2021 Iowa. Oh, you're 10-3 with losses to Purdue, Wisconsin, and a blowout against Michigan in the title game? Alright, you can have the 12th seed. You play Alabama. Removing divisions should make playoff expansion unnecessary, since it would theoretically act as a quarterfinals anyway. Especially for a conference like the Big Ten, where it's unlikely that the Big Ten runner-up would be one of the top 4 teams come the end of the championship game. Of course, it could happen, especially if, say, Michigan and Ohio State were to play each other twice every year. And maybe Ohio State, Penn State, for anyone who is just offended by the mere mention of Michigan being good enough to get into at least the 2nd spot every single year. I guess I have to throw that caveat in. Now, I should also note that with the news of conference realignment and the rumors about even more changes to the landscape of college football, it's really difficult to predict exactly how all of this is going to turn out. If all of the rumors pan out, the Big Ten could have 24 teams come 2024, made up of half Pac-12 teams, half ACC teams, or a couple of ACC teams, and probably Notre Dame. The Big 12 could take the other half of the Pac-12, and frankly, the Pac-12 may cease to exist or become a group of 5 conference by adding San Diego State and probably other Mountain West teams. The point is, it's incredibly difficult at this point to tell where all the chips are going to fall. But, in my opinion, the great thing about college football is how important every single game is. Removing divisions is a great step towards making those games all the more important. One slip-up could cost you everything. But expanding the playoffs would diminish that. The 4 best teams in the country are the ones that win consistently. You could argue until you're blue in the face that Ohio State would have beaten Michigan in a rematch last year, perhaps even in the Big Ten title game, and that's why they deserve a playoff spot. But it doesn't matter. They lost when it counted. And that's exactly how it should be. Thanks for watching. If you're excited to see USC and Notre Dame play for a Big Ten championship in Denver, Colorado, then give this video a like, share it with literally everyone you know, and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video. Well, I didn't get the line right, but whatever. I think that works. Now I'm gonna do it again. First,